Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another heavily delayed weapons verified video on this channel. Sorry for being late, real life is taking its toll and YouTube's still not monetizing my channel, though I applied for it 2 months ago, plays a role in it, but nonetheless I'm very embarrassed to let you wait that long. However, here we finally are, and the weapon I show you today is the famous M1A1 Thompson submachine gun. The Thompson was a child of the First World War. As full-length rifles were rather unwieldy in trench fighting, frontline units utilized a variety of close combat weapons, ranging from pistols and shotguns to axes, clubs, spiked clubs, and sharpened spades. The casualties during these melees were horrific, and so were the wounds inflicted. With the start of the war, US Army General John T. Thompson noticed there was quite some money to be made with small arms and retired in November 1914 to begin working for Remington. While the casualties in Europe reached staggering heights, he envisioned an automatic weapon, which he called a trench broom, to clear trenches from enemy troops. Partnering up with the US Navy commander John B. Blish, who had developed a delayed blowback breech system, they founded the Auto Ordnance Company and began developing a weapon system that would become the Thompson submachine gun. Tests showed that the originally planned standard .3006 rifle cartridge was far too powerful, so instead the .45 ACP ammunition was chosen that the cold M1911 standard issue pistol of the US Army was already utilizing. Development continued well into 1918 when the weapon, now called Annihilator 1, was more or less ready. And then the war ended 2 days before the prototypes could be shipped to Europe for field testing. With the war being over, the weapon was renamed Thompson Submachine Gun and patented in 1920, entering production as the M1921. In contrast to the German army that had adopted the MP-18, accepted the effectiveness of submachine guns in close quarters fights, and tried everything to keep at least a small stock of these despite the Versailles Treaty forbidding them to do so, the US Army lost all interest in these weapons. While the US Postal Inspection Service and the US Marines bought them in small quantities, and in case of the Marines used them with great success in the Banana Wars, and China, where it became very well liked by the troops. Another early adopter of the Thompson was ironically the IRA, Irish Republican Army, who used it with mediocre success in the last weeks of the Irish War of Independence and the following Irish Civil War. Most famous user though were the gangsters of the Prohibition and Depression era, and from 1933 onwards, the FBI. In 1938, though, the US military finally adopted the M1928A1, and with the beginning of the Second World War, British and Commonwealth forces began arming their troops with the only readily available submachine gun, the Thompson. But the weapon was not well suited for mass production, and quite expensive, so the M1 and the M1A1 were developed to be adopted in April and respectively October 1942, to reduce manufacturing costs and time. These variants were only able to use the 20 and 30 round box magazine, the older guns had also a 50 rounds magazine, and the M1A1 with 20 round box mag is the variant we have in the game. When production ended in 1944, some 1,750,000 weapons had been produced. And by the way, despite all nations utilizing the Thompson tried to replace it with a cheaper and easier to mass-produce SMG, such as the M3 Grease Gun or Sten, the Thompson stayed in limited service with several armies, including US forces, well into the Vietnam War. Alright, let's take a look how the M1A1 Thompson performs in the game. According to my stopwatch, it empties the magazine of 20 rounds in 1.86 seconds, as the official firing rate for this gun is 700 rounds per minute or 11.67 rounds per second. This is quite on spot. For some reason though, the developers decided to not give you the 30 rounds magazine despite this max size becoming widely used in 1944. The stopping power of the Thompson is quite okay. 3 body shots usually kill an AI opponent. The .45 ACP bullet is famous for her good stopping power, and in-game this SMG is pretty good at bringing down any Japanese soldier trying to gut you. Now for some critique. The M1A1 Thompson is far too early available. In the very first mission of the game, the raid on Makin Island, you already get your hands on this weapon, which was first produced in October 1942, 2 months after the raid. The more important point is, the SMG is far too imprecise. According to an actual owner of an M1928A1 Thompson, the gun is very heavy and unwieldy, therefore difficult to properly shoulder and get a good sight picture with. And this comes from someone who also owns an MG42. The apparent drawback turns into an advantage when you start firing the weapon. Because of the weight, it does not really move and, quote, has no felt recoil, and you can keep it on target pretty easily. In-game, the Thompson might be the most precise submachine gun when hip firing, but still bucks and packs quite some recoil if aimed with the sights, and that should not be the case. On a side note, in the game you only get your hands on the M1A1 Thompson in the very first and last missions, so during the raid on Makin Island, the trench fighting on Peleliu, and the ahistorical battle for Shuri Castle. This is quite accurate, as the BAR, while not being particularly good as an squad LMG, was used with surprising success in the intense jungle fighting experienced by US forces during the so-called island hopping, the liberation of the Philippines, and other battles in the Pacific theater of war. The Thompson's .45 ACP ammo just didn't have the power to punch through smaller trees and lots of foliage, while the full rifle caliber Browning automatic rifle had absolutely no problems to do so, and often replaced the Thompson SMG in such an environment. In total, I would say the M1A1 Thompson is depicted quite correctly in Call of Duty World at War, and if they had implemented the higher precision, this might actually have had a negative impact on the playability of the campaign. Alright, that's it for today. Again, special thanks to Vector Vitale for his idea to do these short weapons verified videos. I hope you enjoyed this one, as you requested it. Also, again, thank you to Phil for providing me with information on the handling of the Thompson, much appreciated. And if you want to see me actually playing games, almost every Thursday and Saturday I stream on Twitch, link is in the description below. And if you liked the video, you'll probably like my other ones too, so take a look. Please consider subscribing if you didn't do so already, and maybe take a look at my Facebook and Twitter accounts. All the best, and see you on the next video.